EGM Network.
This is an Evergreen Media Network production. And now, it's time to put you on the spot with EGM.
Hi, welcome to On the Spot with EGM. I'm Jesse Krisky, and it's summertime. And if you're a parent, that means your kids are out of school, which they love. But the problem can be sometimes that, idle time. They're sitting around the house, nothing to do. So how do you keep them active and healthy in the summertime? And that's why we're speaking with Wes Samons. Now, Wes is the executive director of the Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County. Hey, Wes, how are you today?
I'm great, Jesse. How are you doing?
Very good, very good. It's summertime here in Indian River County, and so we want to know, how can we keep our kids healthy and safe? Do you have any tips for us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we know that, like you said, summertime, there's a lot of unstructured time.
Yeah.
And unstructured time for children and teenagers can go good ways and bad ways, depending on the focus and what we're modeling and for our children. So I just want to stop by today and give some tips on how to be healthy during the summer.
Great, great. All right. So what you got? My kids are sitting around the house right now. They're scrolling on their phones, sure, probably, and
of course,
gave them a couple chores to do. But what can we do as parents to help these kids out during the summer?
Yeah. So first, why is it important? Is one thing.
Yeah.
Teaching healthy habits with kids. Well, first of all, from a mental health perspective, it helps them learn how to handle stress well. So physical activity a lot of times can help process some anxious thoughts or upsetting thoughts. Gives a kid a chance to process things either on a subconscious level or a conscious level. Physical activity can help them learn how to relate to others. If they're playing a game with someone, it's the social aspect of that, right?
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so also learning how to make healthy choices. So a lot of times, your teenager may be at home by themselves and they're making their own lunch or getting their own snack. And so helping them to create healthy habits might help them to make the right choice when it comes to things like that, or when to go to sleep at night and put the screens down, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So those are all the reasons why it's important.
So do you think, as a parent, it's better to give them, here's what you need to make for yourself for lunch today, or do we kind of lead them and kind of lead them to make the decision for themselves?
Absolutely. I think modeling the correct decision and showing them that, look, I chose, hummus and cucumbers for a snack instead of a bag of potato chips. And letting them be exposed to those types of decisions and having conversations about why it's important. One of the suggestions I have is cooking with your children and coming up with healthy recipes that you can cook together and have conversations while you're cooking.
Yeah.
It's another way to engage your child in something that's healthy and to continue to create those good habits.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Cooking, my kids like to cook. I think they like the creativity of it. They like also following the directions and the finished product. They like feeling that, I made this, and they said it tastes better when you make it. So, and another thing, summertime, the weather's very unpredictable here in Florida. This cooking is a great indoor activity you can do no matter what the weather is like and no matter how hot it is or how rainy it is.
Right, absolutely. That's a great point. And that kind of leads me into some of the thoughts and suggestions on indoor activities that can be physically active and not just sitting and watching television and looking at a screen.
Right.
I should credit that a lot of these ideas and suggestions are on the Center for Disease Control's website.
Okay.
They have a great website there. If you kind of Google summer and health, it pops up a lot of different links to different things like child-friendly recipes and things like that, but also some recommendations for indoor activities. So, you're stuck indoors, but you could play a game of Twister, or, you could play hide and seek. You could put an indoor basketball hoop on the back of your door, right? We all had those as kids.
Yeah.
And you're moving around while you're inside, and instead of just sitting, and staring at a screen all day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Water. My son has no problem drinking water. He likes water. My daughter, I've really got to get her, drink your water, honey, drink your water. how do you get kids to drink water?
It's a great question. I wish someone would have told my parents when I was a kid. I don't think I started drinking water until I was in college. It was Mountain Dew and Pepsi for the most part.
Diet Coke.
Right, that's
yeah.
right. No, honestly, you tell them the importance of drinking water. They have a lot of different flavored things you can add to water these days that are also healthy. Some of them have caffeine, so you have to be careful which ones you're getting. Some don't. So you just have to read what you're getting there if you want to add flavor to your water.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's helpful.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people who like to infuse their water with things like cucumber and lemon and things like that. And sometimes that adds enough flavor to make it a little more interesting for a kid.
Yeah. I think keeping them active, too, really helps their emotional well-being. And so these activities are very important. And one thing I've found I like to do with my kids is if it's not too hot, maybe in the morning, maybe in the late afternoon, is gardening. Go out, pick some weeds. Those type of things, right?
Absolutely, that's great. And that's a great example of something you can do together outside. Before it's too hot. So maybe, you know, if you have a pet, you take the dog on a walk first thing in the morning or in the evening when the sun's gone down, when it's not so hot. Like you said, gardening, we have so many beautiful things that you can go and see, take a walk on the beach, go to the Environmental Learning Center, they usually have summer discounts and different days that they do for free. So you just have to go to their website and look and see what they're doing. Yeah. Same thing with McKee Gardens. So,
I was going to say the botanical gardens.
Yeah, exactly. So there's all these beautiful places we can go in our community. And I think it just takes a little bit of effort from parents to research some activities and to, try to engage their kids that way.
Yeah. Well, it's summertime, and the kids are out of school. We're not so worried about bedtimes as parents usually, but sleep still very important for these kids.
Absolutely. And, what I've always told parents that I worked with is you have to be careful not to let bad habits start in the summer. And then the next thing you know, when school starts, they've been staying up all night, all summer. Yeah. And they're trying to get back into a school routine because the high school kid has to be up at 6 o'clock to make that first bell at 7:30. And it's just impossible. Yeah. Right? It's so hard to get back into a routine. And then that leads obviously to academic issues, attendance issues. So I would say, of course, you can be more lenient in the summertime, but also kind of monitor that, make sure they're not on their screens till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I always encourage to have a screen time cutoff to where, you collect the phone or the iPads, put them in a neutral place, not in their room, so that they have a chance to go to sleep and not be distracted by those devices that are so easily distracting.
And how much time do you recommend between shutting off the screens for the night and bedtime?
I think usually an hour is enough. Ideally maybe 2 hours. You kind of start the process of getting ready for bed, shower, whatever, and then have some downtime. Maybe even read an actual book. That would be amazing.
That's good, but especially if they're younger.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
And maybe they can read their own book if they're that age.
That's right, for sure. So those kind of things really helps to quiet your mind as you're getting ready to go to bed.
Now, mental health, it's on everyone's mind, especially parents. We're always worried about mental health. What can we do to kind of make sure our kids are mentally healthy throughout the summer, besides just activities and nutrition and things we've talked about?
Well, I would focus on two things, awareness and conversation. So you want to pay attention to see if there's any drastic changes in your child's mood or their habits or their behavior. Okay. Like, sure, they might be staying up late, so they're sleeping a little later, but are they sleeping a lot later? Are they not being as active as you're used to them seeing? Are they not eating as much as normal? Things like that can be a cue. And then also, when you notice those things, having a conversation. Hey, are you feeling okay? Can we talk? Is something bothering you? Don't be afraid to have those conversations, especially with your teenagers.
Okay. And what if you ask them that and, everything's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Sure. And you'll get that a lot, right? Absolutely. And that's why we really try to encourage parents to maybe prod a little bit more and say, well, I noticed you're doing this. Can you, why are you not eating as much as you normally do? Things like that. I think some parents are afraid to cause a conflict when they do that. But it's important sometimes to gather that information. Or if if one of their peers, their best friends that you can possibly talk to, have them talk to your child, because we know that teenagers are more likely to talk to their peers.
Yeah, definitely. And this brought up a thought in my head, Wes. When we were teenagers, it seemed like teens were more social, and now a lot more teens are on their phone. Is there a good place? Do you have any recommendations where teens can be more social, where they can meet friends and just be more social, just get off the phone?
Sure. It's hard because that is kind of the norm of how they're social now. They're social on social media.
Right? Yeah.
So, joining, I think summer camps are great for that.
Yeah.
Going to a summer camp, Boys and Girls Club, good for youth achievement. So many of them. Vero Rowing has summer camp, like so many of those environmental learning centers I mentioned. Youth Guidance has a great programs, or being involved in some type of team of some sort. Like obviously it's baseball season, I guess, right now, but soccer.
Right.
Yeah, those types of kind of forced social interactions are good for kids in the long run. Otherwise, without it being an organized thing, I guess it's kind of tricky to know where to find those pockets of social interaction.
Do a little research on your own, and you can find it. Yeah,
for sure.
All right, great. Wes Samons, Executive Director, Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County. And if you notice some of these signs of maybe social withdrawal or worried about mental health, what can we do? How can we reach out?
Absolutely. So if you're wanting to have your child screened for a potential a need for a therapist or a psychiatrist, you could call us at the Mental Health Collaborative. Our number is 772-217-3663. And from there, we can link you to a provider based on your insurance and availability of the providers. And they can kind of walk you through the process of becoming a client with their organization. There's also MHA has their walk-in center. So if you feel like you need to see someone on that day without having an appointment somewhere else, you can always walk in there and you can talk to their screener there, and then they can kind of guide you on the next steps. So that's a great resource that we have in our community. Great.
Yeah. And you can find out more online at mhcollaborative.org. And what's that phone number again?
772-217-3663.
All right. Very good. Wes Samons, Executive Director, Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County. I want to thank you for joining us on the spot today.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it.
All right, very good. All right, keep your teams healthy, keep your teenagers healthy, and all your kids, not just the teens. Keep your kids healthy, safe, and active this summer. And if need to, reach out to Wes at Mental Health Collaborative of Indian River County. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Jesse Kriski for the EGM Network. Until next time, take care, everybody.